Well, this is the topic. If you know the artist Lecrae that we talk about a lot. We've done a line for line with, and you know about the T.R.U.T.H, who was our number one MC 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the T.R.U.T H had some issues and fell back for a while, and all of a sudden it seemed like Lecrae blew up.
Yeah.
So the question is, did God replace the T.R.U.T with Lecrae?
Yeah. And what you mean by that is, and this goes for not just them, but anyone, where if you're not operating in your gift, will God just move on and use someone else?
No, we're not talking about operating your gift. We're talking about if you sin, does God just replace you? Like, okay, because now, to be honest with you, now the truth is almost like he has to
start over,
and it's the weirdest thing. It's like in our society, from the secular standpoint, if somebody mess up in the secular standpoint, people forgive kind of. It all depends what you do, but they kind of forgive, and then you climb back up to, you know what I'm saying, that spot. Yeah. But for the truth, it's like it almost feels like he's a new artist again.
Well, let me ask you this: what type of? I mean, this doesn't happen, obviously. I mean, it can happen with secular artists, but it won't really make that much a big deal. But when Christian artists get into their songs or they get into their walk and they start, like, you know, ministering the gospel, so to speak, and they say what they will not do and what they won't fall to, what do you think that looks like when you just...
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, because the T.R.U.T was really big on.
Dude, I was
don't do this, don't do that.
I was listening to Izzy, and he was like, "I got a wife and disciples that watches my every step." Makes you want to think about it.
Do you point out? Because honestly, I think I've witnessed it in another arena that I won't talk about. But do you point out stuff a lot when you're dealing with it?
You know what? Interesting. You know, you said something earlier this year. You were like, "We need to really continue to talk about our whole abstinence thing while we're still unmarried." And I was like, yeah, we do. I was like, but wow, what would that look like? We out here talking to the Real Majority Club, and then one of the track stars falls.
Yeah.
What would that look like?
But I mean, okay, so all that was dealing with what the T.R.U.T had to deal with, but look what has happened. Like, isn't it crazy how Lecrae just shot up the charts? Yeah. I don't know if it's related, but I guess the reason we're asking, we're not trying to be offensive to the T.R.U.T. We've met him, we've met both of the dudes, and we love him. Yeah. But it seems as though that he got replaced as the number one Christian artist, because the T.R.U.T was leading the charge. He was on 106 in Park. Kirk Franklin was touring with him. Like, he was that dude.
So,
and then now Lecrae's that dude.
So, did the church replace him?
That's a good question.
That's a good question too. Because if you really think about it, like, for some strange reason, when you come from that background, when you come from that, not judgmental, but that strict background almost, and you get exposed almost.
You think his fans turned their back on him?
Almost. Like, I on some websites I go to and they talk about the T.R.U.T, they be like, it's kind of hard to listen to his stuff because you know he did what he did.
That's the same thing they said about R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of rough.
Kelly, that's a totally different story.
But that's what I'm saying. That's how crazy that is. The R. Kelly one is understandable.
Yeah.
But they talking about him like he did something wrong.
Okay, so you guys remember?
I mean, it wasn't like nasty.
You guys remember when we were at the Don't Waste Your Life tour, right? And when we talked to that one parent who came from like somewhere like Columbus, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, and he was saying, no, I buy my son this music and put it in his hand. When I say that the church replace the T.R.U.T with Lecrae, meaning do parents go out and say, okay, don't listen to this anymore, listen to this?
No, I think what happened was the T.R.U.T got off. Like, he was on some tours.
People forgot about him.
Yeah, he was on some tours, and what happened was, like, once he exposed what happened, because he ended up saying in the statement, it's like all that shut down for him.
Okay, so now he said in the statement he was taking a break from his ministry. He was stepping out from the ministry. If the track stars folded the radio show tomorrow and we started up again next year, would there be somebody in our place?
I don't know. I think what happens is, like, it all depends how high you up.
All right.
Like, to be honest with you, like, we're still climbing up. People don't really know who we are. Like, they know our line for lines, they know our bits and all like that. Yeah. But they don't know, like, if they see you in the street, they don't know. So, but that's the difference between somebody knowing who you are versus don't know who you are. They just like your stuff.
So maybe that is the question. Maybe God didn't replace, but maybe the people created a new idol.
Wow.
Somebody they need to rely on to this may not correlate at all, but it's in my head, so I'm gonna just go with it. If it applies, then it applies. Remember, we were talking about this in the last service last week, and how when the people were waiting on Moses to come back down from the mountain with the law, they just couldn't deal with the fact that they couldn't see God, so they just made up a God, so they could see it, and worship it. Do you think that's a problem that we have too in the Christian industry, or is that we can't see God physically, so we make these idols of?
I don't think we make people. I think some people may make idols, but I don't think all together people make idols. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's a dangerous thing when, like when you do music for God.
I think Lecrae knows that, because that's why they're so adamant about making sure when people are cheering and screaming, make sure you're doing that for Jesus, not me.
You may seen them get bananas when they come out on stage.
People
forget that it ain't about them.
But that's the thing. That's why it's so hard to literally keep your mind as a Christian artist, is to keep your mind focused and say it's not about you, because you can believe your own hype immediately. And it don't matter what you sell. You can sell one CD, and if you feel like, yo, I'm dude,
blow up,
I'm about to pop, and people screaming your name, you can just flip immediately.
So I have a question. Does the Christian autograph have no value whatsoever? Because it's really all about God. So if I meet Kirk Franklin and I get his autograph and I take it home and I'm all like, "Oh, this is Kirk Franklin's autograph," does that really have a value?
It wouldn't to me.
I think it wouldn't to me either. I think it all depends who it is. I think if you got an autograph from, and there's no disrespect, if you got an autograph from Kirk Franklin, people would be like, "Yo, that's Kirk Franklin." You know what I mean? When you say Kirk Franklin, people know who Kirk Franklin is. That's not even dealing with Christian music and in the black community. You know what I'm saying?
What's the logic behind it? Because you can easily say, "I met Kirk Franklin," and be done with it.
So what's the logic? Should you sign autographs? Why are you signing your name to?
Not even while you're signing your name, because I remember standing there when one of the guys took his hat off and asked Lecrae to sign it, or whatever. But I'm saying when you're actually at home with that autograph, what does that do?
I mean that kind of goes back to almost idolization. Because even with the line for lines, when you really think about it, the people bag us so much because they love these people. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I genuinely I love their music. It's no, that's my people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not it's not because just the music. It's something else. Because at the end of the day, I shouldn't care. I shouldn't care if you pick a second song of a Christian on. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter.
And you know what? For some reason, man, even though it's not my nature, it bothers me to see, having worked in secular radio, to go on Facebook and see all these pictures with artists and people got their arm around them and they're like me and Bobby Valentino at the club. And I'm like, I never bought into that. I didn't care to have my picture taken with anybody. There's a picture out there with Jennifer Lopez and they were like, "Who wants copies of it?" And I was like, I was just in the picture. I don't want the copy of it. But when I see that, I'm disgusted, because you're perpetrating you hang around these people and these are your boys. And I I don't get it. So I want to find out what that has as far as a Christian value. Now, I do have a picture with Lecrae, but I don't idolize that. That's just another picture that on the Trackstar's webpage to show another achievement of what we've done.
All right, well let's make sure we address this, because this is the key thing. Celebrity is part of the issue. But does God Himself replace people when they sin? Do we have any examples of that in the Bible?
In the Bible, I would say David committed a sin. He got right. He was still king.
But what about Moses?
No,
he got replaced.
Yeah, but Moses never saw he got up to where he's supposed to, and then
he was supposed to go to the promised land. But he couldn't, and they rose up Joshua, right?
Yeah.
So, but is that a rule?
I think sin disqualifies you. Period. I think God is if you are sinning, it may even, and then sometimes I'm gonna lie to you. I know people who are wilding out, but they could be they saved, but they doing some foul stuff, but they look like they're gradually moving up in their career. So how would you say that in essence?
I would say, with that, it just, I don't know, man. I think it's an omission of the sin, and if you put it behind you so much, then you start to forget that it's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about Kirk Franklin. We talked about that, right? He necessarily didn't fall out of any kind of category when he admitted what he was going through with pornography.
When he came out on Oprah, that was like
that
was way after.
Yeah, and this is what I pointed out with that whole thing. I think that says more about people not caring about pornography than it does about sin.
Well, I just think that if you're sin, I think that people look at sin and it's like
sexuals. Well, that's sexual sin too.
I think people look at that and they say, well, that was a problem he was personally dealing with. But now, if he beat his wife, if he cheated on his wife, then that's a problem.
And
everybody.
That leads us into, I think we're probably gonna have to break this off to another topic later. Is people do see degrees of sin? They do. Like, they probably looked at Kirk Franklin, oh, it's just pornography, whatever. Yeah. But somebody cheating on their wife is like, oh my gosh, I can't. Yeah. But in God's eyes, wasn't it the same thing?
Yeah.
And I want to do this because the reason I'm asking this is we need to pray for Lecrae.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and the truth.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be in the position Lecrae is in, where everybody's looking at them as like the savior of Christian hip hop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's hard because you get attacked like crazy. Every thought is a challenge because anything could mess you up.
But you know what? I think Lecrae is doing a good job of combating that himself. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we saw him as a Stellar Award nominee out parking cars, directing traffic at his church. So I think that he's doing a good job on his part to negate those doors from being open around him. Yeah. So that's good. So we definitely would pray for his strength.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, I think he's like even when he's talking about him going overseas when his album came out. Yeah. And I remember him talking about that and was like, yeah, I needed to go overseas. I don't need to be here when my album come out because I know that's an area where I would be like,
you want to check the numbers every day. And
so he did that. Not to say he didn't go over there because of ministry, but he also knew himself. So it's kind of like a lock on your television if you know yourself. So I think the thing is, I think he has it. I just think Christian artists just don't need to believe their own hype. Yeah. That's the number one thing. If you're a Christian artist and you don't believe your own hype, you don't fill your own self up with, like, your head is full with water. If your head is just the smallest thing and humble, I think God will elevate that.
That's another question I had too. That's a whole different subject.
And I'll say this for the fans: if you love the music, that's fine.
Yeah.
But make sure you do not make it turn into worship. Of the person.
Yeah. Because when people say, I feel betrayed by this person, or this when a person mess up, I feel betrayed. I feel like hard. Like, it's like that person never. Only time somebody will betray you out, and this is just Chris speaking. If I felt betrayed by somebody, it's because like we were so close, or not even so close, but we were like in a serious relationship, friendship or whatever, and you told somebody a lie on me, or you disgraced like that. But if somebody you don't know you feel betrayed by them, it's like you putting everything into them that don't need to be there.